I would point to. And coaching and roster decisions have also played a part in that.
Interesting. Bryan, what does the Johansen injury mean for how the Preds approach the next week?
I mean, I think we've heard Johansen's name come up, over the past few years as being a piece that could go out in a trade. But I think that's been a lot of Nashville's been asking around and nobody's been kind of willing. And before last year, I could see definitely why. I think he kind of he bounced back from, becoming a playmaking type of center rather than the scorer. And, 26 goals for a top line center, on a competitive team, that's not necessarily, what you want, but it's a little bit better. But I don't think, I think there was a very slim chance that he would move. But I think now that he's injured, I don't know that he's going to be going anywhere. So,
yeah, I wonder, they're going to do something. I just don't think it's going to be any major fireworks. I don't think it's going to be like we're going full out. UC Saros is out. We're getting a king's ransom for UC, like Forsberg, whoever. It just doesn't feel like that's where they're headed. I think they want to make the playoffs.
I will say this. I think if they do something, my money is going to be that they make a bunch of small things to get some help down in Milwaukee, because I think 5 or 6 players or last night were in the lineup were guys who had spent significant time in Milwaukee this season. So, I think that's going to be definitely, I don't think fans, when you start to see these trades happen, because it happens every couple of years, that, you'll see these AHL trades come in and you're like, oh my God, what are they doing? Granted, I also said that about the Ben Harper trade, and look what happened there. So, I think they're going to see that, because there's a lot of Admirals up in Nashville right now, and they're a good team, and you don't want to pull that team out in front of a guy like Askarov, who's having a pretty good year. So,
yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I also think that it's just Brian's right. Like, I think the trades are going to be smaller. I think it's not going to be anything big. But if I'm the fans right now, and from what I've obviously read all over Preds Twitter, is like, and what I think is probably in the best interest is starting small. Like, obviously, you're not trading Ryan Johansen or Matt Duchene this trade deadline. Like, it's not happening. Their contracts are too big, and that Johansen's hurt. But it's someone has, like, you have to kind of get the ball rolling in some way. Like, I don't think I'm not expecting some giant trade. Like, I'm not expecting a Matthias Ekholm trade, but a Tanner Jeannot trade. Now, I would expect that. Like, I would say, considering what he's doing this year and considering what he did last year, there is still value there, and contenders clearly want him. The Rangers have expressed interest in him. Why would you not do that? And so it's less for me about seeing these giant trades going down, and more about seeing trades where I'm like, okay, we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. I want them to rip the Band-Aid off, and I think that's what most fans are at. And I think Poyle is in this ownership group is misreading the room if they go the other way. If they think the playoffs is going to get this fan base energized, like making an 8 seed, 7 seed, I just don't think it's going to go well there. I don't think they're going to get the reaction that they're hoping. And I wonder if they're considering that in moves of just like what the fans actually want to do here. Because I think y'all could attest this better than me. I feel like the majority of fans want them to be sellers and significant sellers at the deadline. And I just wonder if that clash between what Poyle wants and what the fans want is going to be something that should be interesting to monitor, right?
Yeah, I mean, 2 things about that. One is, and then, Jeff talked about this earlier too, is that Nashville, it's going to be difficult. And we're seeing the arena get less and less filled. I mean, people were kind of embarrassed to get with Bastin. Now Boston's like the best team in the NHL. They travel well. I mean, but we haven't seen that in Bridgestone in a while. And one of the things that Poyle has to think about, and maybe why the owners aren't making a move, is that a rebuilding team, even if the fans want it, they're not going to sell as many seats. And so that's got to be rough, especially coming out of these COVID years, and the cap going up, in the future. So that's part of it. And two, the other thing I did want to mention, because I saw this morning, I'm very glad that Ryan Johansen, was able to get out of that surgery, and we kind of have pushed that kind of off the cycle as far as, because what that could have been was awful, because I think they said just this morning that he was wearing like a cut resistant sock.
Yeah, it was a protective sock.
So it could have been much worse. I mean, he went immediately to surgery too. So I mean, that sock may have been the difference between us talking about, well, is Johansen going to, Johansen will be back next season, or is Johansen done with hockey? So I mean, I did want to make that note that I'm incredibly thankful that it worked out the way it did, and he was able to recover, and he sent a big box of $5 to his surgeon. So that's a pro move. I have to give it to him. That's an absolutely pro move right there. So, I'm glad to hear that he's okay. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there, because we were a little worried about that, when it happened, and then we got good news fast. And so that was pretty thankful for that.
Well, there you go. As we look ahead, we'll end here, guys. Jeff, what are you looking for out of the Preds over the next week before the next Preds Power Hour?